And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Mixeltix. I think it's like a take on Mixelplix, like Mr. Mixelplix, but it's like MIST something X or something. I know who you are. Who asked the question, who would in a fight, Venom or Nemesis from Resident Evil? So Nemesis is one of the, I've done both on the channel before. Nemesis is one of the very powerful bosses you usually fight in, depending on the Resident Evil game. Obviously, if you're like dealing with like Resident Evil, one of the recent ones that has like what's her name, the vampire lady who's actually like a giant fly or something like that. Which makes the fact that there's a whole bunch of Rule 34 about her very weird. Most of the time you're dealing with the Umbrella Corporation. Every once in a while, it's like not really Umbrella Corporation focused. I mean, it's always there because it's Resident Evil, but it's not a it's not quite always like, as far as I know, I've never actually played. I should be very clear. I've never actually played a Resident Evil game. It's really not a series I dig on that much. Not that there's anything wrong with it. There's plenty of people who love Resident Evil. If you do, that's great. I just never really dug on it that much myself. But yeah, the Nemesis is in essence it's kind of a super soldier, really. It was a series of the Nemesis T-type was a series of experimental bioorganic weapons created by the Umbrella Europe's number 6 laboratory. The Nemesis T-types were the culmination of a Nemesis project with the successful implantation of NE-A parasites within the T-103 host, presenting Umbrella with a highly intelligent and powerful creature. Several of the Nemesis T-types were produced through the only one, Nemesis T02, is known to have experienced combat. This individual was sent to Raccoon City and is nicknamed the Pursuer. And obviously that would be the one we're generally looking at. Apparently in terms of which games you can find them in, geez, come on, what the heck? I would like more. One second, because I've got one of the wikis here. I'm trying to find. There we go, Villains Wiki. That'll at least be better. At least give me an idea of what the guy actually has available on call for abilities. I've done Nemesis before, but unlike someone say like a Jason Voorhees or a Pennywise, this is not a character that I am overly familiar with, or I have done enough that I can just do it right off the top of my head. Unlike a Pennywise or an Alucard, someone who has been on this channel so many times where it's just ingrained in my brain now that I can just do it off the top of my head. However, the Nemesis, variants generally possess and display superhuman strength, capable to utilizing heavy-grade weaponry and moving it like a Gatling minigun and carrying it like it's nothing. Superhuman speed, the sight their large bulk, capable of running very fast, like a charging rhino. Highly durable. The factor has made it. I hate ads, especially when I'm trying to read something and it just cuts off what I'm reading at the boots, or at the heels, I should say, or at the legs. I think that's the term. This is a factor that's made it one of the most resilient bioweapons ever created. With handheld weapons only slowing it down, heavy weapons only momentarily incapacitating it, and only the largest grade industrial weapons shown to have any signs of truly damaging it. Nemesis has shown surviving a rocket launcher blast from Carlos area, a tank truck explosion, and Mihawk Victor's suicide attack. It can also generate tentacles, which are used for grappling, binding, infecting others. Regenerative healing, despite the fact that it already possesses regenerative abilities due to the T-virus enhanced metabolism, the parasite within Nemesis has further boosted its regenerative capabilities through its secretions. Even though these regenerative capabilities are still much inferior to the G-virus regenerative properties, they're still superior to any Tyrant's regenerative healing, even more than the T-00. Regenerative mutations as well. When a Nemesis receives too much damage to properly regenerate, its power limiter code is destroyed. His regenerative abilities begin mutating him so as to develop adaptations in response to physical traumas. These mutations later on afford him natural weapons consisting of numerous spear-like tentacles that can tear through any human. By its third form, it had once mutated to a point. It mutated too much and lost most, if not all, of its regenerative powers and humanoid vestige, but developed the power to spit acid. It's also a skilled combatant and has near human level intelligence. However, the biggest weakness of the Nemesis, and I mean, yeah, drop a bomb on it, you probably will kill it, or drop many bombs, you'll probably kill it. Shove a grenade in its head, and you'll probably kill it. But its biggest weakness actually comes from the adaptive regeneration. It can mutate so much that its body kind of just implodes in on itself if it's not careful. And it weakens its regenerative capabilities further. There's a point where it will burn out its ability to regenerate if it's not careful. And so, it does need to be careful in how it fights. Venom, we already know Venom's backstory. He is from the planet Clintar, which is actually not the name of the planet. That is the Clintarian race's word for, or that's the symbiote word for prison. As we know, the planet Clintar was actually a prison for the symbiote god Null, but different thing entirely. He bonded with Peter Parker during the Secret Wars storyline. He rocked around with the black suit symbiote for a while, but ultimately had to get rid of it. It bonded with Eddie Brock, who hated Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and the symbiote, knowing who Spider-Man was and carrying those traits over, created Venom. Venom is one of Spider-Man's most famous, if not his most famous villain there is. He's also one of his deadliest. He's a brick shithouse in terms of strength. We're talking about a guy who surpasses Spider-Man's strength, who's already lifting tens of tons in terms of raw strength. Venom's upper limits are not quite known, but we do know it reaches near the 100-ton range, somewhere in that general category. Like, not if it's not 100 tons, it's close to it. He also carried over pretty much all of Spider-Man's abilities, including the ability to shoot organic webbing. It's been depicted as actual webbing, and it's been depicted as also just symbiote goo. So there's that. Wall crawling. He is also able to negate Spider-Man's spider sense. He does not trigger it. I don't believe he himself has a spider sense, though. But he might. He just has enhanced senses as it is. Venom also does have shape-shifting capability. Now, generally, this usually just comes in the form of maybe talons, some extra tentacles, or something like that. But he can occasionally morph, especially if you like the video games and a couple of the other alternate versions of Venom, morph his body into some more extreme features, like a giant mouth. Carnage is the one, actually, I think Carnage and Toxin both are the symbiotes in that lineage who are a lot more prone to manipulating their body into weaponry. Carnage specifically. But Venom can do it. We know he can also even give himself a pair of wings if he needs it. We will not be looking at the God of Light Venom, by the way. That is a different Venom and is only a temporary form Venom has taken. But Venom is also just extremely hard to put down. Like, his physical strength is matched only by his durability, because Venom can take a lot of damage. Venom does have two specific weaknesses to both sound and fire, but, I mean, that's, what's the best way to put it? It kind of is irrelevant if your opponent isn't really using those abilities, or using those types of weaponry. Let me see here. Does it say what, generally speaking, the Nemesis usually carries? I mean, he's normally seen carrying what looks to be a rocket launcher or a bazooka. Which could definitely hurt Venom. It could, but it's not a fire or sound-based weapon, so it's not really capitalizing on Venom's weaknesses. It's just doing an explosion, which would hurt Venom, but Venom has survived quite a bit. Venom has actually also gained a resistance to sound-based attacks as the years have gone on. The weakness is not gone, but he's mitigated the weakness over the years just through exposure and getting stronger. Venom himself also has a regenerative capability as well, being a symbiote. Even while just attached to the host, it's hard to hurt Venom beyond, superficial wounds. Beyond that, though, Venom does have a weakness also in the sense that it does need to eat either chocolate or human brains, as those possess a chemical that help keep it going. Venom also carries over the experience of any past host it has had. This would include Spider-Man, Deadpool. It has bonded to Wolverine recently in the comics. Like any past host it has had, those traits hypothetically transfer over. So I mean, technically speaking, this Venom symbiote should have been pretty strong at that point. And then it bonded to Peter Parker, and then it went to Eddie Brock. And I think the reason you don't see much change between the symbiote hosts, like Flash when he's Agent Venom versus Eddie Brock, is because you're humans at that point. The difference is minimal at best. You're not really adding anything on there. Yeah, it will have knowledge about you, but that's about it. So in a fight between Nemesis and Venom, who would win? Let's say Venom is just traveling in Raccoon City, just doing things, taking out some zombies, and the Nemesis comes out. The Pursuer. We'll say it's that one, because he's the one who actually saw combat. And Venom is kind of like getting all excited. It's like, ooh, well, isn't this interesting? But we don't have time for you. We've tasted your brains. They're rotten and foul. Excuse me. Now, quick note. Venom being exposed to the T virus. Would that matter? I mean, he is alien. He's very kind of beyond most of what exists in Resident Evil. Yeah, there's supernatural shit, yes, but I mean, he's very different than anything else that exists in Resident Evil. And being a symbiote, I imagine we know the symbiote actually feeds on Eddie's cancer. So I don't, and especially anti-venom, I believe also was that as well. Like, it just ate toxins right out, it just killed him dead. But Venom apparently does feed on cancer. So we know Venom can actually kill and just outright destroy a lot of disease. So I would have to assume that, even in genetically engineered, I'm going to assume that the T virus does not affect the Venom symbiote, and therefore the host that it's embodying at that time, or inhabiting at that time. So Venom and the Nemesis, square off. Nemesis fires some shots. Venom dodges one, gets hit, boom, point blank, almost point blank. And you see Eddie underneath, but it quickly just, okay, that hurt. And then he goes for no one, but Venom just comes in, catches it with a weapon, just throws it, and they just start duking it out. And right out the gate, this is a problem for Nemesis, because while Nemesis is very powerful, he's more just hulking brute powerful. Yeah, he can lift well beyond a normal human, but he's not lifting in the tens of ton range, as far as I can tell. Venom does that and can do that pretty easily. So Venom in a physical altercation with Nemesis is going to have the edge. As Venom is pushing the fight more, and Nemesis decides to throw out the tentacles, trying to bind Venom, and he starts to toss him around a bit until Venom kind of grabs and just rips the tentacles off, starts clawing at him. Eventually, he's going to beat the Nemesis down to the point where the adaptive mutagenic regeneration takes place, where he's now starting to adapt to Venom and regenerate through that and have different means to attack. But Venom is starting to burn out his regenerative capabilities the more he goes on the offensive. Granted, the Nemesis is developing other abilities like spikes, blades, and acid, which is hurting Venom. Ultimately, it starts to become a battle of attrition. Who's going to outlast who? Venom, however, has a really big advantage. He can just keep mass producing that webbing until the cows come home. So he just starts binding him down. Just you're a bit of a problem here, buddy. And then ultimately, just kind of like, ugh! And remember, the webbing Spider-Man uses is like normal spider silk has a better tensile strength than steel of proportionate size. Spider-Man's is basically just an increased version of that, and Venom's is a stronger version of that. So even if it doesn't hold Nemesis down forever, it's going to hold him down long enough. It's like, well, this has been fun, but we got to go. And then just takes his head clean off and just, it's like, yeah, and just heads off. I think the problem for Nemesis here is that Venom is just physically too much of a superior foe to him. And the fact that his regeneration is pretty solid as well, Nemesis is just not going to be able to do any lasting damage against Venom. He can definitely get some pain in, and if he were to theoretically just point blank fire everything he had out of that rocket launcher in Venom's face, might work. But that's relying on a huge amount of luck. It's relying on Venom not moving. It's relying on him even hitting him at least once to put him down, and then getting in close. As fast as he is, Venom is faster. And then, Venom can turn invisible. I forgot that part too. But Venom can turn invisible. He can wall crawl. He deals with stronger foes on a more regular basis than Nemesis. So this fight goes to Venom. I feel comfortable giving him this fight. This, though, is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you next time.